Many, many, many years ago, as I was mentored in this industry, I was taught that meetings are important in building your business. I was taught the principle that more meetings means more money. And the more meetings you could have going on, the more presentations that you could have going on in your organization, and the faster you could do it, the faster you were going to be able to create the financial situation, or at least I was going to be able to create the financial situation I was looking for. So when I started my send out card business, I was not in an environment where I could do that. So I had to improvise. So what I did is I bought a lot of DVDs and I passed them out, which I still believe is a phenomenal way to introduce people to the business. I learned what kind of things to say to invite people, and you've seen a lot of this. I've showed a lot of this on this and other Facebook pages and other training materials that I've done. But what I want to teach you today was brought to me just recently about how important meetings are. Now, when we talk about meetings, in order to have big meetings in the area, I've heard people all say, "I'd like to get a big meeting in the area." Well, in order to have a big meeting in the area, you first have to have a bunch of little ones going on in the area. If you don't have a bunch of little meetings going on in the area, you're not going to have enough people to support the big meeting. Now, why do we want big meetings and why do we want little meetings and stuff like that? Is because we're social mammals, and we like to gather and we like to get together. Now, there's a few of us that like to be hermits and stuff, but for the most part, most people want to gather together. And also, they want to be with like-minded people. They want to, and they also want to pair or size people up, see if there's other people that feel the way they do. So meetings are very important, and in order to get big meetings in your area, you have to have a bunch of little meetings going on. Now, these little meetings have to be duplicatable and easy to do in order for them to spread like wildfire. Our business is about duplication, and so if you're doing things that are not duplicatable, even though they may work, they won't work to expand your business exponentially unless you create it so that anybody can start them, anybody can do them. So your meetings have to be duplicatable. All you need is a TV or a laptop or to do your business, some kind of a presentation to do that. Now, if you go to the Send Out Card Business or the Training Center, you'll see videos there. You'll see, the brick and mortar video. You'll see the opportunity video. You'll see all sorts of videos there. And when you do these, now I want you to write this down. I don't have this in the PowerPoint slide presentation here, but I want you to write this down. In a meeting, it's got to be fun and exciting. You've got to have credibility. In other words, you've got to show that the company is a solid company. You've got to show that people are intrigued in the product, and you also have to show that there's money in the deal. And then at the end of the presentation, you have to have a call to action. You have to ask people the questions. And so these are the things you need in a meeting in order for you to get these meetings going. So you need to have meetings that are easy to do and are duplicatable. The easiest meetings that I know of to run, okay, that anybody can do, and they're the most duplicatable, are home meetings or a small meeting type. Home meetings are duplicatable, and anybody, like I say, anybody can run them. Anybody can start a home meeting. Tomorrow, I can invite some friends over and show the Send Out Cards opportunity at my house. I can do that. Now, these meetings can be small, or they can be larger. They don't necessarily have to be in a home. They could be in a warm environment, not a formal environment, but kind of a warm environment, maybe in a conference room, if you've got access to that, maybe in a coffee shop. Or, the key to these meetings is you want to be consistent with them. So they need to be consistent. Now, many years ago, I don't know where I heard it from. I don't know where I got it from. This was when I first started and I wanted to excel my business really, really fast when I got involved in network marketing. And someone told me about something called System 16. They said that's what I called it. And that's how to quickly get 16 meetings in a certain period of time in your area. And I had forgotten about this, to be honest with you, and I apologize. I had forgot completely about this until just recently. One of my friends who is very successful in another network marketing company, he's been doing it about 4 or 5 years, maybe 6 years. He makes $1 million plus, actually well beyond $1 million plus. He's in the top 100 or 200 top earners in the world in network marketing. And he sent me a text back in May, and here's what it said. I taught System 16 yesterday in Pittsburgh. Thank you. Now, I had no idea. Again, the cobwebs had not been lifted in my head, and so I texted him a question mark. And then he said this, you taught me System 16 back in the Excel days. 16 home or small meetings in 90 days. I just wanted you to know it is helping people change their lives. Now, I still have that text in my text box, and I've been thinking about that over the last several months. And so I called him last week, and here was kind of our conversation. I asked him how it was going, and he said, DeMarr, I've got 2 people, almost 3, that have reached the top of the pay plan because of it in the last 4 months. Now we had a longer conversation. He says, I'm implementing it in everything that I do in my training, and he thanked me profusely. I mean, he just thanked me about teaching that. And I remember doing this, and I remember when I first started in my Excel business back 20-something years ago, I heard this concept, so I started implementing it. And within a year's time, using this System 16 approach, I had over 200 meetings going on in the region. Now, that wasn't in my hometown. That included, I live in the Utah area, so all of what we call the Wasatch Front, that's the Ogden, Salt Lake, Provo area, down through the southern part of the state, all the way into part of Nevada, up into Idaho, and up into Wyoming, and even into Montana. I had over 200 of these meetings go on. And because of that, we were able to have some very large group meetings. Up in Idaho, I remember having a large meeting, a regional meeting with the areas that I just talked about. We had 1,800 people in the room, and it was a large meeting. And we had all the time we had meetings of 200 or 300 people coming to our bigger events, and it's all because I started working this System 16. So what is System 16? How do you implement it? Well, first of all, you've got to get yourself a calendar, and you're going to be what I call a trainer, and then you're going to find somebody that's a trainee. And what you're looking for is somebody that's willing to implement, that buys into this concept System 16. And you're going to pick a night, and you're going to find somebody who's willing to have a home meeting in their home. So let's say this is you, and you find Jim, and you decide that Wednesday, Jim says, yeah. And you say, Jim, I've got this concept that I really want to start you going, and I want to start holding some meetings in your house. And I want you to find people to do the same thing. So we're going to start at your house on Wednesday night. Is that a good night? Jim says, yes. Wednesday's a great night. He buys into the concept. And I say, listen, I'm going to teach you to do these home meetings too. So the first Wednesday night that I start this meeting, I'm going to do the whole presentation. I'm going to come over to Jim's early. I'm going to set up a little presentation. I'm going to have my DVD. I'm going to show the opportunity video. I'm going to talk about the areas that I talked about earlier. I'm going to talk about why I got involved in the company. I'm going to show the video, and afterwards I might even have Jim stand up and say a few things why he's involved. and we're going to start this meeting. We're going to start asking, who wants to be involved with us. Now, Jim, this whole time is looking for people that he can start a home meeting. So I'm going to start with Jim, and the first meeting, I'm going to do everything. I'm going to conduct it. I'm going to do everything. The next week, Jim, we're going to have that same meeting. Now, it's got to be consistent. So we're going to have that same meeting, but this time Jim's going to help me. He's going to do about 25% of it. The next week, then we're going to do the same thing, and we're going to invite more and more people, and some of the people that join us, they're going to invite people, and we're going to build on this. Now, Jim, the whole time, is looking for people that want to participate in System 16. Now, the third week, Jim's going to help me with about 50%, so he feels more comfortable. And then the last week, Jim's going to present. I'm going to be there. I'm going to support. I'm going to help him if he gets in a little bit of trouble or whatever. But Jim and I are going to build this so that he also, now 4 weeks, he's looking for people and asking people if they want to do the same thing he's doing. So what happens is that Jim now has completed his training, and now he's ready to start his meeting with the person that he wants to mentor in System 16. So that's the first month. The second month, there's you, okay? So you're now going to find someone else, and this is Sue. Now you found somebody that you want to mentor, so you found somebody else who wants to do System 16. So you're going to hold your meeting, okay? But Jim is now going to start his meeting with Jen. He found Jen. Now, the first week, we're going to do 100% of the meeting, and we're going to train our people, and then the next week, they're going to help a little bit, and then the next week, they're going to do maybe 50, maybe even 75% of that event, and then the last week, they're ready to get started. So now there's you, there's Sue, there's Jim, and there's Jen after the second month who are all ready to start someone else in the training process. So what happens is now we're on the third month. So now Sue, she gets D. Now you found JB. So now you've helped another person get started, and Jim's got Zach. Okay, and then Jen has Joe. So now you got 4 meetings going on that next month, or the next week. And now what happens is they're going to do 100% the first week. The second week, they're going to have their trainees help them. And then the third week, they're going to try to get them to do as much of that meeting as possible. And by the fourth week, now remember, these meetings are not hard, okay? They're not hard to do. They're pretty simple to do. They're just plug and play. You find a location that's very low key and casual, and you do that. Now, in these meetings, you don't want to, have an hors d'oeuvres or any kind of a meal or anything like that. In fact, if you're going to serve anything, just serve water. If you're going to do it at a coffee shop, just buy water. Because you got to understand, there's people that are going to be doing this, and it's got to be completely duplicatable. They can't afford to buy someone lunch. They can't afford to go buy catering or that kind of stuff. They just need to get people to take a look. And so by the third month, okay, you've got 16 meetings going on. The first month, you have 4. Okay, the second month, you have 8. And the third month, you have 16. Now watch what happens. Because now you got 16 people that are going to be training people to do the same thing. So the next month, you should have about 32 meetings going on. The next month, because everybody's starting to do their calendars, you're going to have about 64. In about 6 months, now you have about, look, the calendars are popping out, and people are starting to popping up, and people are starting to do it. Now you're going to have over 100 meetings in a 6-month period. And if you continue this process with the System 16, in a year's time, you'll have 200 or 300 meetings going on in your region, in your area, and that's pure duplication.